Why are you making me do this?
Because I'm a taskmaster. By the way, I put it in the side chat, but the movie I had in mind was The Ritual, and the movie I watched last night was The Watchers, and I was saying that The Watchers had the ritual feels to it, which I thought were great. You know, this kind of an ancient horror being, evaded by these lost souls out in the wilderness. Okay. And it's pretty good. Yeah. So if you haven't seen The Ritual, see The Ritual. If you haven't seen The Watchers, see The Watchers. Yeah, make it a double feature. You won't be sorry.
And if you haven't seen The Gorge, which came out on Apple TV, you will not be sorry if you see that.
I do not.
Huh?
I said I regret not having Apple TV Plus now.
Yeah.
I didn't realize
I fell asleep.
Did you have to pay extra for it?
I think it's about $9 a month. It's pretty cheap.
I'm talking about for the movie itself. Like, did you have to pay beyond your subscription? Did you have to pay?
No. Okay. Apple TV Plus has all kinds of really good content that's free, good series and everything. It really is it's a better deal than any of the others, but of course you have to have Netflix. If you don't have Netflix, I think your heart stops beating. I'm not sure. I've never tried it.
Yeah, you become a Christian.
Oh, is that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Christian. Yep. So, anyway, dualism. So the reason that this is important is we've got people like Bernardo Kastrup preaching bullshit. We've got J.P. Moreland and Scott B. Ray with their body and soul. So, like Christians naturally, at least modern Christians, and you can comment on this, Scott, believe that there's some immaterial, non-physical soul involved in
that is generally correct, though not absolute, of course, because you know how many different denominations of Christianity there are, how many offshoots or whatever you want to call them, or people claiming to have direct revelation from God, and they're not a denomination, but gosh, they sure act like one. There are some that might not believe in the soul, or might believe that there's not a dual existence to the human body or to the human existence. But there's plenty of dualists out there who think there's a body, and then inhabiting that body is a soul that goes on somehow to live beyond the grave.
Right. And then
I'm not a dualist, but I do consider myself a dueling banjoist, because I like just about any competent rendition of dueling banjos.
Yep, which is completely irrelevant.
Oh yes, it's irrelevant, but I feel like I had to say that.
I know.
Confession.
Okay, and then there's a whole bunch of people that are not necessarily Christians or believers that deny physicalism for a number of reasons, and we're looking at two of them here. Well, Emerson Green, he's anti-physicalist. I'm not sure, but I gather from his comments that he has a problem with physicalism. I'm not sure. Well, yeah, physicalism would say that the mind is, basically the brain, sort of. But physicalism doesn't really say that, but we'll get to that. But anyway, and then we have Ralph Weir, who's actually a really, I think, a brilliant philosopher, young and brilliant. And he wrote a book, and I linked it in my description. And he is a substance dualist, which is the worst kind of dualist. I mean, those people, we wouldn't even have dinner with them back when I was growing up, substance dualists. But anyway, so he defends substance dualism. So, but I just wanted to play this one little part here from Emerson Green, which is, I got irritated in the chat. I was basically, I told them I was an illusionist and stuff. And of course they came back with questions and stuff. And I said a few things, and you can't say much in chat to explain why you hold that position. But they got a little nasty with me, I thought, and I thought, what the fuck? That sounds just exactly like what a Christian would do or an anti-evolutionist would do. And I was kind of surprised by that. And I was surprised that these dualists are so entrenched in their views that they just hate physicalism. But listen to this.
Completely brilliant novel refutation of physicalism in the book, but that's very much a sideshow to the really glorious stuff there.
Yeah, well, it's trivial to refute physicalism, but yeah, you're trying.
There you go. Trivial to refute physicalism, is it not? That's kind of where these guys come from. So anyway, that's sort of why this topic is really important, because it is at the root of all the woo that there is, and it's also at the root of our basically our.
I love how you Minnesota people say root instead of root, like it's supposed to be.
Root. It's root beer.
It's root. Okay, we need to do a poll.
Wait a minute. Okay, root 60, root 169 or whatever root. That's a root. It's a root.
I bet y'all say root 66 too. You just don't admit
it. Read it. No, we don't say root 66.
It's a rutabaga.
It's a
On a more serious note, I don't see a link to that book in the description.
What? Oh, there's not a link to the book, but the title's there. Ralph Steven Weir, The Mind-Body Problem in Metaphysics. I figure if you can't type that into Google and go look it up, screw it.
I don't see the the title in the description either.
Oh, do you know why?
Because you didn't put it there.
You forgot to hit the save button there, Scott.
I forgot to hit the save button. Okay.
Yeah. You forgot to tell me to hit the save button.
That seems to be
now you got it.
Rot of the problem.
Yeah. The rot of the problem. Go fuck yourself. Anyway, so we got that, and what else we got here? I'm not sure. I've got the chat here, basically where they were going on. I suppose we could look at a little bit of that. But you wanted to know. Basically, you asked the question about what dualisms are and what substance dualism was, James, or was that?
Right. So, I was asking. I could have went and looked it up, but I'm like, I'll just let Mike explain it to me. So, so dualism implies two isms. Am I correct on that part? All right. So there's
a couple isms. Yep.
So I don't even know what the rest of it is. If I'm not mistaken, and I'm just guessing, that dualism for that would be like there's the physical reality and then there's the fantasy reality that's not made out of anything.
Mental reality. Yeah.
Mental reality. There you go.
The mental reality. Yeah. And then Christians will, of course, put gods inside of that separate reality so that they've got a spiritual and physical. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of similar, but dualists are
God infestation.
Dualists are okay. Here it says it right here. This generally refers to the idea that reality or a particular aspect of reality consists of two fundamental different components or principles. Although most commonly associated with the mind-body problem, it has also played major roles in theology, metaphysics, and other areas of thought. And then we have a number of different kinds of dualisms, and the worst, most egregious kind is basically substance dualism. Now, this Ralph Weir writes a brilliant book and makes a very good case that if you are a property dualist or any other kind, that is incoherent, and you should be a substance dualist if you're any kind of dualist at all. And he does a pretty good job of it. And he wrote he's got a good writing style, and I appreciated his tone on this video that he did. So don't want to dump on him. I think he's a pretty cool guy. Anyway, mind and body, or mental substance, and physical substance are two entirely distinct kinds of stuff, and that you could not physically reduce mind to any, or you could not reduce mind to anything physical. You can't say mind is just, identical with the brain or whatever. So that's the idea. Rene Descartes, I think, therefore I am. He argued that the essence of mind is immaterial, while the essence of the body is extension in space. So there's the difference. So there's something called mind that we all have, that we all know what it is. It's the what it is likeness of our experience every day. And that stuff is a very different kind of substance in the universe.
Okay.
And
so dualists actually say that mind equals there's something that is likeism. There's something that is like, therefore mind.
Yep. Yeah, it's a separate substance.
I agree with that definition.
And they will admit that substance correlates. I mean, if it wiggles, your brain wiggles, right? If your brain wiggles, it wiggles. They will agree to that, but they'll call that correlation, not causation. So your brain is, doing stuff, and for some reason, this mental stuff is interacting with it. And some of them think the mental stuff actually causes the physical stuff to do things. Like if you will to do something, you will basically cause it to happen with your mental stuff first. That you have intention and you're going to do something with your mental stuff, and then somehow it makes your brain do all this stuff that eventually fires the nerves that allow you to grab the fork and stuff the pork chop in your mouth, right? Make sense?
I mean, yes and no.
Yeah, I know.
I'm confused on what the substance thing is.
Oh, it's mental substance. We all know what it is. Like, look at your hand right now.
But what's the difference between the dualist? Because the dualist is also substance and not substance, right?
What do you mean?
I don't know what to add in the substance dualist.
Oh, there are other kinds of dualists. Like there are property dualists. They think there's one kind of substance in the universe, physical stuff, but it has different properties. It can have mental properties or it can have physical properties. So they'll call themselves property dualists, and they're a little bit better. And there are a lot of varieties of that and a lot of nuances. And I can see it to a point, but it gets very. And these guys, man, they, as soon as they come up with something like dualism, they'll come up with all these sub-classifications, and they'll come up with sub-classifications. And these philosophers need to get a job.
That's what I was just going to ask. Yeah. And then, okay, so you got this, and then they break up the other. Okay, I got you now.
So do these dualists of whatever, like substance dualists or property dualists, do they think that whatever, of course, there's the physical part, which is the purview of biology and physics or whatever, that, I guess we sort of agree on what the physical is. But when they say mental or I don't know what the other categories would be. Do they think that's a purview of physics? That physics
mental stuff
would and should be able to get a handle on that, identify it, lay out its properties, do an experiment to confirm its existence? Or is this something that's just conveniently constructed to be consistent with a particular worldview or philosophy?
I think they think it's entirely separate. Now, David Chalmers will call himself a property dualist, I think, but David Chalmers believes that there's that we have undiscovered psychophysical laws in the universe, that they're going to discover sometime in the future. They're going to discover new laws in physics.
So who's going to discover it? and how are they going to confirm it?
Yeah, I know. Well,
okay, all right. That's my open-ended question there. Okay. Do they all? Do they think it's gauche to suggest that a physicist or a biologist should be able to get a handle on this this non-physical substance that they consider a dual reality?
No, they think we need to call in experts, which would require a séance. So,
oh yeah, we need a séance. Yeah. I'm guessing that every different, that every substance dualist has his own ideas about this stuff, but I believe that substance dualism would hold that this is an entirely different kind of substance. It's mental stuff, and it is never going to be explained with anything physical. And that leads to a bunch of questions, because when you look at correlation with mental, activities, it's obvious that we can figure out when somebody is seeing an airplane, for instance. They did that famously in Japan, or imagining an airplane even. You can actually see neural traces of the airplane at the back of your brain in a sheet. So, I mean, they're going to have to say that, okay, this mental stuff somehow drives that physical stuff. And because it does, that we could figure out what's going on in the mind by looking at the physicality of it, right? But I mean, I think they're kind of stretching things a little bit when they get there. I mean, they're saying that this mental stuff is in control, basically, that is the stuff. And it is causing this physical activity in the brain somehow. But
yeah, of course, Kastrup from our musings about his work a few months ago, maybe even longer, he believes everything, it's all mental, or it's all consciousness, and we sort of derive from that as a change in form, just like energy and matter are pretty much the same thing, just a different. They're just the matter is just transformed energy.
Yeah, and we oh God, if we get into Castro, we are separated. We have separated ourselves from the world, and we have this boundary basically. And when we look across the boundary and we look at the rest of the universe, which is all also consciousness, all we see is physical objects, because that's how it presents itself on the dashboard of the mind, or whatever it is.
Are you talking about panpsychism?
Oh, well, that's kind of like Kastrup's position, sort of, is that, is that panpsychism? Yeah. Panpsychism is kind of like the atoms themselves are conscious, right?
Yeah, so
but
go ahead.
And toasters.
Kastrup doesn't, and toasters. Kastrup doesn't believe there are atoms. He thinks atoms are what consciously look like when we view them across our boundary, and because we're separated, we have separated ourselves from the whole, or whatever. So, God, we've gone down so many rabbit holes already. Can you see how bad this shit gets? It's just a lot simpler to think the brain done it.
Atoms don't exist, and the reason they look like atoms is because we got a divorce from reality.
Yeah, we're looking. I forget what Kastrup calls it, a dissociative boundary. Like we've separated ourselves from reality, basically, and we think we're things, and we don't realize until we die that we're part of the whole. That sort of thing.
Well, that would mean that every stupid thing he ever says, I said too. I don't like this idea.
Yeah, I know.
Jim Bob doesn't believe in atoms either.
No, he doesn't believe in atoms, doesn't he? Oh, no.
He was debating, well, I think he still is debating Planet Peterson today.
On atoms? Did he honestly say that?
Is evolution a scientific theory? He was on with Breakfast Tacos. They pulled people in now.
Oh, is it
Planet
on Jim
Peterson
Bob's
no, it's on Breakfast Tacos.
Okay.
Yeah, Planet Peterson was holding his face and laughing and stuff because it sounded just like the conversations we've had with him about. He wants to take all of science and you throw it away every time you make a new discovery, and then you run that discovery alone through the scientific method without anything else.
Yeah, and you have to observe something. Like if you want to believe in atoms, you have to actually see the atom wiggling around.
Right.
And say, oh, there it is. That's an atom. You know?
So yeah, he says he's holding off his opinion on if atoms exist until he can observe them.
Why does he believe in the other side of the earth? I mean, he is as close to a flat earther as you can get.
Oh, it was so bad to listen to. It was really hard.
So if atoms don't exist, does that mean protons, neutrons, and electrons don't exist? Or
I'm pretty sure that.
Yeah, the whole thing is.
Yeah. It's all bullshit.
Well, somebody else could say it's magic goo. And it's like, okay.
The man wants you to believe in that stuff. That it's the man. It's they. They are controlling your thoughts.
Oh, the they.
Yeah, the insidious they. Yep.
The they.
The academia. They.
They
the
hide
college professors are.
They hide everything under the Smithsonian, and
everything's a conspiracy when you don't understand anything.
Yep. Yeah, at every college across the world, these professors after class, when all the students are gone home, they all gather in the basement and they light candles, and they become the collective academic they. And they chuckle and plan and figure out what kind of bullshit they're gonna convince you of next, like evolution. It's like, oh, let's teach them evolution. They'll believe anything. They'll believe anything. Anyway, okay, so substance dualism, variance, interactionism, mind and body causally affect each other. Okay, that goes both ways. Occasionalism, God intervenes to coordinate mind and body events. And parallelism, mind and body do not actually interact, but run in parallel to each other. So those are the three possibilities for substance dualism. I'm not sure what Ralph Weir holds to.
This would explain why God doesn't do a whole lot of miracles in our world. He's very, very busy micromanaging all the spaces.
Micromanaging, exactly.
He's running around giving all the substances properties because they don't have any of their own.
Yep. And okay, then we got property dualism. Okay, the key idea: there's only one kind of substance, physical, but it has both physical properties and irreducible mental properties. Now, I could be a little bit charitable with this claim in that I am a bunch of physical substance, and I'm right now sitting in my room interacting with the world and with you guys, and basically I'm experiencing mental properties because I can represent my own mind. Though we'll get to that. That does not happen very often. It only happens when you are talking philosophy of consciousness. But anyway, so it is a true fact that when you think about something, when you imagine a tomato, in Minnesota we call them tomatoes, and they have roots. Yeah. Anyway, so fuck, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, you went on that root.
I went on that root tangent.
The root.
I think the very fact, Mike, that you can lose your train of thought, I think conclusively proves that your mind has reducible properties.
Yeah,
God intervened.
Something physical.
God intervened.
God could have intervened. Right? Yeah. How does this mental substance lose its train of thought? I don't understand that. I suppose it's like a thicket out there, a thicket of mentalness or menticles. There are conchicles and menticles. There are different particles in the universe. But anyway, so a property dualist, it would be like, okay, if I'm looking at a tomato or imagining a tomato, there's something inside of my mind, and the properties of the inside of my mind are different than the properties of the tomato itself, which gets a little gets a little blurry when you start thinking about it, because if you're looking at a tomato, there's a real tomato out there with physical properties. It's reflecting light in a certain spectrum coming into your eyes. It is sitting on something. It is pressing down, down upon that something because of gravity. And it has physical properties, right? So it's got all kinds of physical properties. And then I'm looking at it. Not only am I looking at it, but I'm smelling it. I could be looking at it, reflecting something from my room in the shiny part of the tomato or whatever. So, I mean, those are all, but all of those things inside of me are considered mental properties. And they give me this feeling of what it is like to see the tomato or its roots.
It's roots.
Anyway, roots.
Yeah, Dave is having to translate all the Minnesotan, just, what's the word for colloquialisms?
Yeah, I split the difference. People say, is it soda or pop? And I say soda pop.
It's pop.
Soda pop.
When you guys decide to go out and see a movie, what do you say?
Let's go see a movie.
Let's go to the show.
Let's go get some COVID.
Let's go to the show.
Yeah.
In Minnesota, we simply say, go show. Go show.
Really?
That's just like
mentally lazy, man.
That's just like regressing to a primitive.
Let us go show.
Oh my gosh.
Is it a sub? Is it a hoagie? Is it a grinder? Is it a sandwich?
Is it a Tinder?
Yeah. Sandwich. Anyway, no, we don't do sandwich, but we do other things. Okay, so key idea. There's only one kind of substance. Yeah, mass, charge, irreducible mental properties, quality, and consciousness, and you can't reduce one to the other. Distinctive claim: the mental properties cannot be fully explained by or reduced to physical properties, even though both arise from the same underlying physical substance of brain. So, in a way, we are stuff experiencing ourselves, basically, right? And the stuff around us. But we are also stuff. And when I look at you guys, I see stuff. I don't see people. No, I kind of do. But I mean, I see stuff. You guys look like stuff to me. You don't look any fucking different than a tomato.
Quit talking about tomatoes.
Yeah, so we look like tomatoes.
Makes me want. This time of year is terrible for tomatoes.
Okay.
Well, I think anybody who's only ever gotten their tomatoes from like Walmart or Target or what have you, totally has a different experience of tomato than people who have like had tomatoes out of the garden. Back when the tomatoes weren't as chewy as they are today because they needed, strong tomatoes to put up with the long distances and time that they're going to be shipped. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Did you see that? Did you look at the screen, Scott? Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw your red Qualia cup and
red kitty Qualia cup.
I grow tomatoes and jalapeno peppers. I used to have a bigger garden. I scaled back a little bit, but I got to have my fresh tomatoes. It's a summer treat around here. We're in a great area for tomatoes around here too. So we have good tomatoes.
Okay, it's a red kitty Qualia cup. Okay. Anyway,
well, I mean, to be
very important. Go ahead. No,
I was going to say red doesn't exist. Red doesn't exist out there in the real world, there, Mike.
I think it does.
Come on.
Yep, I do. Red exists. Yep.
You're allowed to say that.
Yeah. There are properties of physical substances that make it reflect light in such a way that it would appear red to all human beings and probably some other animals too, and it would have this one sort of appearance. And it is basically the properties of those chemicals. It's nothing else that makes it red.
It's by the eyeball.
They reflect light in a certain way. Anyway,
Red is in the eye of the
okay,
beholder, but perhaps we do all behold the same color. I'm not sure.
we do.
I think it's a continuum. I think there's a percentage of people who can't see any color. Obviously, they're called blind people. There's colorblind people, so they're not going to see it the same, and might have trouble distinguishing red from some other color or shades of color. And then, there is going to be the statistically vast majority who see the same colors the same way. However, when you go to the hardware store, into the paint section, and you see all these, slightly different shades of green or red, you don't know what color's what by the time you leave the place. Used to be that we only had 7 colors. Now, look at all the marketing names they give to these paint hues.
Yeah.
Damn liberals.
Yeah. I have thousands and thousands of colored pencils, and they all have names. But anyway, the fact remains that there's a composition of that substance, and it reflects light in a certain way, at certain wavelengths. And I don't give a fuck what humans or animals think of it, or whether they're colorblind or blind, or whether they have their head up their asses. I don't care about the humans. I care about the properties of that chemical, basically. That is my
the thing on this list, and you might have moved the page a bit, is that raises the question for me is irreducible mental properties, qualia or consciousness. What they're basically saying is there's nothing in the brain that can be appealed to account for qualia and consciousness.
Right.
I pretty much think that's bull. They're just saying, well, just because we haven't fully mapped out consciousness, or don't have a fully developed theory of consciousness for the brain, doesn't mean that we have to appeal to some special. To me, this is special pleading, some separate category of existence known as. Well, I don't even know what they call it. It depends on the type of dualism you have. Qualia basically is all the feelies you have surrounding a red cup, or a cup of cold water, what have you. Well, there are certain things that are so private and so subjective, you may not have put vocabulary words on it, but it's still your brain calculating the result, calculating the experience, putting together all of the emotional, chemical aspects of your experience, even though I may just not have the vocabulary to explain why this cup of water, with a little bit of condensation sitting next to the, to maybe a blue background or something like that, just seems like it's going to be really, really cold and delicious. And maybe this other cup of water seems like it might be a little too warm, a little too, I guess the word's tepid. Is that the word? And and not a good experience. I may not have the vocabulary for that, but I have the inner experience. But I believe it's generated by your neurological system. The hormones and the dendrites and neurons and things like that. We can't account for it totally, but I just see no reason to appeal to some woo-woo extra quality or extra aspect of reality, unless they have a good argument and a good observation in nature to say, no, it can't be physical. And I just
their only argument is nah. You explain it to them, and they say no, that doesn't explain it. And there's an interesting avenue that I got into as a physicalist too, where I run into this situation of no, that isn't quite it, and we have this strong intuition that it can't be something physical, that we have a strong intuition that it can't. When we start to do this introspection thing, and you go down a pretty long road as a physicalist, searching for the neural correlate of consciousness, and you end up kind of, I think, at the end where I am. I don't know, but not everybody's gotten there yet.
Well,
anyway.
basically, they're taking the brain basically just runs the body functions, and then anything else that's where they're putting into it has to be outside of the brain, right? That's kind of bottom line, right? That they're not acknowledging the brain isn't there.
Yeah,
but that it's not as important as this other thing, right?
Right. I don't understand how they think memory works. Well, the property dualist, because when you get into properties, we're going to get into some complex shit, because I'm not sure if I buy into physical properties either, totally. But anyway, what the fuck was I going to say? Shit.
I was saying all the stuff that Scott was talking about, those things would all be like what they put into a mind or a soul or a spirit or something, or a universal consciousness. All those things go, unless you have, like you were saying, that one thing that's both at the same time, right?
Yeah. Chalmers will say basically that he'll say that this conscious stuff is very small and in a very small part of the universe. So the substance dualists must believe that out of the entire vast cosmos, right, there's this one little tiny speck of dust, and on this dust is a little speck of goo, and therein is the mental substance. So they have to believe that, this mental substance is pretty goddamn rare. I don't know where they think it comes from, and I don't know why they think it hangs around brains. I would love to have them here to explain some of that to me, but anyway, Ralph's main deal is he is attacking property dualists, these guys, right? And he's claiming that their position is ridiculous. It should be substance dualism, that they have to accept that there's another substance. But I don't think he's correct at all. But he has a big book on it, and he's pretty well argued, and he does a lot of stuff. Okay. Mental properties. Okay. The variance. Here we go. Epiphenomenalism. Mental properties are byproducts of physical processes in the brain, but do not causally affect the physical, which is like the substance that rises up and doesn't go the other way. It doesn't affect the physical, which is I just don't see that one.
That's confusing.
Mental properties. Emergentism is mental properties emerge from the complex physical systems and can have novel causal powers. So that's what the fuck? That's not supervenience, but epiphenomenalism, sort of. And it's, I don't know, just none of it makes any sense to me when you start looking at what the brain is actually doing. It just doesn't. It doesn't hold up. Why there should be this stuff. Other than that, I am a bundle of physical stuff, high energy. I've eaten some. What did I have this morning? Some tomatoes, and I have energy basically, and I'm like this dense little cluster of activity. A living thing is like an unbelievable little cluster of hot energy doing shit, right? And I am a thing that feels like I have a mental presence or life, right? For a number of reasons.
You're generating the energy for like 100-watt light bulb or something like that?
Well, for me, it's 500. I'm sorry.
Your energy factor.
That's why I'm bald. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, predicate and linguistic dualism. I don't know if we need to go any further, but there's a whole lot of it. Metaphysical dualism, beyond the mind body ontological dualism. Reality itself is constituted by two ultimate principles or realms: ideal and material, spiritual or physical, form and matter, that sort of thing. And we have Plato and his forms, his realm of forms, and Zoroastrianism. There's one for you, Scott. Moral and ethical dualism, theological dualism, key idea. There are two fundamental and co-eternal. Yeah, isn't this?
Oh,
yeah,
man.
say uncle when you need to. Epistemological dualism. There's a difference between the knower and the known. Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm a knower. Summary of major distinctions, and they go on. So anyway, final thoughts.
Well, the thing about the difference between the knower and the known, there are certain mental states you can find yourself in, whether assisted by chemical means, organic or synthetic chemical means, where you don't feel like there's a difference between the knower and the known, or between two interlocutors. You might come to the belief that everything is one thing. I've felt that way before. I've realized, well, okay, I was just in a particular state of euphoria, so I didn't trust that feeling. But I just wonder about some of the things that bias a person towards dualism or towards physicalism.
Yeah, there's that's a really important word, Scott. Bias. Okay, there are people that just will not listen to you, and that's what happened to me in chat. There are these people like, oh, you don't have an argument, and they say some of the same things that Christians will say to you when they're arguing for their God, right? And you're arguing for naturalism or atheism or something, or if you're arguing with a creationist about evolution, they'll say, oh, that's not an argument. That's not an argument. And there's this bias, and it's like, well, I haven't heard your argument either, motherfucker. It's like it just there's a strong bias to this thing of thinking that humans aren't something special, that there isn't some special substance that we have that is, we used to in modern times, we've allowed for dogs and cats and stuff to also have this special substance, a lot of us. But, it used to be like back in the 1950s where they didn't think animals were conscious at all. You just fucking kill them. It didn't matter, this shit. Anyway. But the thing is, go ahead.
There was a pastor that said that's one of the top questions that he gets asked is, are their pets going to be in heaven? Do they have souls and all this kind of thing?
Oh, yeah. Because they're like, fuck.
Not all the animals, just their pets. Yeah.
If I lost one of my cats, I don't know if I could talk to anybody for a long time.
Well, Billy Graham's answer to that question was, well, if it takes an animal being in heaven for you to be happy in heaven, then your pet will be there.
Imagine all the mice and rats and cockroaches and various vermin that have reproduced how many times are all in heaven. Oh my gosh.
So if it makes me happy that my father's in heaven and he was a hellfire sinner from the get-go and he should have ended up in hell, I can request him to come to heaven according to Billy Graham?
Well, nobody
give him a
ever
pardon.
Well, you have to get a pet visa. He can't just come in.
Yeah, that's a special.
No, but can I just pardon him? So I can pardon anybody, basically. Okay.
And that would be everybody would have an individual heaven, because you couldn't all be in heaven if somebody else doesn't like a dog and you do. Yeah. So everybody would have to be in their own individual heaven ultimately.
The way these Christian denominations get along, you pretty much think there has to be about 1 million different heavens.
When I heard the 7 different heavens story, all I could think is that they're putting the brown people in the other parts of heaven. It's a terrible thought, but I mean, that's all I could think is like, how do you have different levels of heaven, right? You You know what I mean? Like we're in the special part of heaven, but you're in that side of town, so to speak. You know, it's just even in heaven, they're going to have, what do you call the other side of the tracks? You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
It's disgusting. The more they talk, like I say, the more they try to explain things, the worse it gets.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mike, what's this pink thing up here? This association. How does the soul handle that and other unsee? What is an unsee? Unconscious associations.
Yeah. I don't know. That was just a random comment I put in. This list right here is what I've been currently working on.
No reason for evolution to accurately come up with a representation of mind itself.
Well, here's the first important part, and this should actually be number one, but this numbers thing's weird. What is the actual fucking question here? Like when they say, what is consciousness? What are we actually talking about? And when you think about it, it's like, oh, I'm just talking about, we all know what it is, right? We all know what consciousness is. Like we've been doing it all day. We all know what it is. But do we know what the actual fucking question is? Do we actually know what this qualia thing is that we're talking about? And what the phenomenal consciousness people will come down to is saying, oh, it's when I look at this red kitty qualia cup, I see red. I have this experience or this qualitative feel of red. I have this qualia, right? But you never actually experience only that. I mean, as a living creature, you will never experience only the red qualia and nothing else. Even if you put yourself in a completely red room, you would be experiencing tons of stuff from your body, and you'd probably still be able to see your eyelids and your eye moving around, and the differences in the maybe the luminosity of the red field you're looking at. But if you're looking at a homogeneous red field all around you, you glued your eyes open and you glued your eyes still so that they couldn't move. Okay. You still have behind your field of vision or your peripheral vision, you would still see something kind of black over there where you can't see, right? You'd still be experiencing something else. So there is no such thing as a red qualia.
I mean, if you glued your eyes into one place, you'd be feeling pain. You'd be feeling regret.
Yeah. But then we'd have to, then we could cut all the nerves from your spine and from your facial area. So you couldn't feel your face or your head or any of that stuff. We'd have to go right up into the brainstem, start cutting nerves. And now you're just seeing red and nothing else.
Getting Clockwork Orange flashbacks talking about that.
Well, there you go. Okay, not only would you be seeing red, looking at the red and feeling it coming into your eyes constantly, but your mind would be darting around thinking, let me the fuck out of here, or like stop this evil scientist.
All right. So
I mean,
fair disclaimer for anyone in the room, don't try this at home.
Don't try this at home.
Right.
But and then you'd start thinking about red stoplights, red lights in the cop car that just pulled you over, red stop signs, blood red, tomato red.
But what if you flipped it around and you did like a Clockwork Orange that continuously programmed into all your senses that red did not exist? Would you still experience red?
I think if you looked into just a red field for a long time, the red would disappear to become white. I think it would lose its color because we see color by contrast all the time. And that's, I tried to do this. I went on and got a big fucking blue sheet and I tried to see nothing but blue back when I was searching for the neural correlate of consciousness. And I just couldn't pull it off. I almost suffocated myself. Like I had to stop.
Don't do that.
Okay. So there's an what's his name? Hoffman? Is it what is Hoffman's name? Is it Donald? Is it I got him written here. Yeah, Donald Hoffman on perception.
Donald D. Hoffman.
Donald Hoffman. He says that there is no reason, like it is statistically improbable that we evolved to know the truth about space, time, and objects in the universe. Right? That's his whole theory. is that there is no reason that evolution would have created us to perceive reality as reality is. So he doesn't believe in space, time, and objects, right?
To me, that's just so ridiculous, because there are certain things about space-time you have to know accurately. Distance, whether or not I'm on a course for collision with a wall or a tree. Look at George of the Jungle. Watch out for that tree. Too many collisions like that. There's no more George of the Jungle, and it's Scotty of the Jungle.
He doesn't believe in any of that stuff. He doesn't believe in trees or the jungle or anything. I don't know what the fuck he believes is out there.
Well, if nothing exists, then you definitely can't collide with it. But yeah, I think this is just junk words all put together. Because we definitely do need to represent the world accurately in order to survive.
Well, the reason that we would have evolved with a true sense of what's out there is because if we had evolved with just a sense of what was going on, so that, say, if a lion was biting our ass, we saw pink splotch, in the upper right, and then if basically a crocodile was biting our ass, we would see a blue splotch. We could have evolved that way. Either way, when we see those splotches, we're going to run away. But then if shit changed and all of a sudden there was a Tyrannosaurus Rex instead of either of those things, all of a sudden we're fucked, right? So the reason that we had to evolve is because the environment is constantly changing for evolving populations. And we had to evolve to get a really accurate idea about space, time, and where things are and what things are. So anyway, but the reason I brought this up is there is more reason to doubt what evolution give us to introspect and look at our own feel, what it's like to see red. Okay. That has less reason to be accurate. Okay. And this is where illusionism comes in. And that's illusionism about consciousness, that this thing we have that we're trying to grasp and we're trying to explain with physicalism doesn't really exist in the way we think it does. It isn't a thing that we can grasp and explain like we can explain water and molecules and cups and stuff. So anyway, there is no reason why we would be given an accurate representation of our own minds. Okay. Yet we have that. We can represent. Like I can represent the word I just said a few minutes ago. Represent, right? And it's like, so we have this ability in our minds that makes it really, really tricky. But do we ever just feel one qualia for an extended period of time without red light actually coming into our eyes? So a really good exercise is to look at something pure red, pure blue, or whatever. Close your eyes. And as soon as you close your eyes, you'll find, depending on how artistic you are, you'll find that figure starting to disappear. For me, it disappears very quickly. As soon as I close my eyes, that's all I see is this like cartoon fragment of it. And it becomes more conceptual than it is an actual experience. Like when I close my eyes, I cannot get blue qualia. Though some people that are very artistic can feed back into their visual system and they can actually represent things very accurately and in color. How about you guys? Are you good at closing your eyes and seeing the color?
Yeah, absolutely, including blue.
Okay, I'm not. It very rapidly disappears for me. And that means that you're feeding back a better representation into your visual cortex than I am. So if we were to measure the two of us, we would probably be able to discern a difference in how much neurons are firing backwards from the frontal cortex into the back of your brain.
Oh, I expect all my neurons are firing backwards. I mean, that would explain so many things.
No, it would. It would. Anyway. but this thing about being able to think about thinking and think about consciousness. Now, I like this Richard Brown, whose link I put a link to his site and stuff. He's doing some testing, and you know what I would like? When they test a whole bunch of subjects, they run them through these scenarios and they test them and put them in fMRI scanners, and they figure out what's going on in their brain. What they should do is take all the researchers and all the philosophers that are studying consciousness and put them through the scanner and figure out what's different. Because when you start thinking about consciousness and you start working on it for a long time, you change what you think about it. You become more convinced that there is some spooky stuff called consciousness. And so philosophers are the last fucking people you want to listen to, me included.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
You really should have started every stream with that disclaimer instead of throwing it in toward the end.
Yep. Okay, the physical gap, okay, how do mental models work by co-opting what we know about physical objects is a question. So this whole thing about creating mental models of of like words or the structure of a sentence, you're actually kind of seeing visual stuff. Our idea of geometry and objects in space and time very much map into most of the conceptual work that we do. So when you're doing concepts, you're oftentimes co-opting your visual system and what you know about where things are into those concepts. And even blind people do this, I believe.
Now, why are we so good? Why are we so good at remembering things like words?
Yeah.
I remember your name is Mike, and tomorrow I still remember your name is Mike, right? But
yeah,
as we talked about before, though, your memories of events, though, can change so much, right?
Good point, Steve.
You have people come in and out of a birthday party that weren't there or were there. You know what I mean? All these things can change, but yet, but when you're saying it's still a visual thing, though, what is the difference, in remembering, 1 + 1, 1 + 1, 1 + 1, and then who was Uncle Bob at the birthday party or not? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then words like, never, number 10 there, never. You see the whole word and you immediately have, the sense of the word and what it means. And we do that very, very well. So we never quite get it wrong. Well, we can spell things wrong, right? If we try to spell it, try to write it out. But I mean, we can read it just at a glance, just automatically fired, and that's our linguistic system is tied in with our hearing. So it's hearing and sight together and motor movement. When we form the words, we create the words. Mm-hmm. So there's like three things that are interacting that make it language extremely accurate, I think, would be the answer to your question. I don't know if that's the answer or not. So, but anyway, so my question.
It's just interesting. It's just very interesting how the brain, remembers things differently. It prioritizes. Okay, you have to remember this specifically, but it's not so important that you remember something else specifically. You can just remember you had a birthday party. Not so important as to remember all the faces that were there, even though some people have the ability to do it. So
yeah.
Which again, that raises how do people have these photographic memories that can tell you, oh, sure, I can tell you that, my 12th birthday party, my friend so-and-so was there, my uncle was there, you know what I mean? And they can name off everybody, like Uncle photographically. Bob. Yeah.
Uncle Bob. Got it. Okay, I got to tell you a story. It has nothing to do with the topic. And I think I've told it before, but this guy I knew named Bob, alcoholic, went to AA meetings. And interesting, he drove a motorcycle with I think it was a 400 some cubic inch Chevy engine on it, like 450 horsepower. Anyway, Uncle Bob, he after he sobered up, he went over to his sister's house, and his nephews were out in the yard, and they were running into each other and falling down and rolling around on the ground and doing all this crazy shit. And he said, "What are they doing?" And she said, "They're playing Uncle Bob."
Oh my God.
When he drank, he used to do that, and it was just hilarious. And it's like, oh, they're playing Uncle Bob.
Oh my God.
My wife had an Uncle Bob. He owned a restaurant in town when he was he's passed away now though. But yeah, he hosted our what's the dinner you have the night before you get married? Rehearsal dinner. Yeah, he hosted our
funeral?
He said, yeah, no, the rehearsal dinner. He said, yeah, everybody come over. I'll pick up the tab and everything and that. So that was really cool. He was a cool guy.
Yeah. Oh, anyway. So what else I got here? Where are we going? My Uncle Bob's story set me off track. The physical gap. Okay, this is not the same God of the gaps as the Big Bang. This is not the same God of the gaps as the Big Bang. And A Bio, I wrote that twice. It is far worse, basically. This God of the gaps is one thing, but this thing where they will insist that, oh no, you can't explain my consciousness. That doesn't explain it. Neurons don't explain it. This doesn't explain it. That doesn't explain it. It's basically a God of the gaps argument. It's about the same kind of thing.
Yeah, because they can't present like you said, they can't present where is the memory if it's not in the brain.
Yeah. The idea of explanation is really pretty complex. So to say, oh, you just can't, that doesn't explain it, is basically saying nothing other than you have to I was working with the Copilot AI free version, and it came up with a kind of a checklist of things that will be true of a set of statements that you think is an explanation. They'll have clarity, relevance, coherence, sufficiency. The explanation will cover all the finer points, or at least enough of the finer points to be plausible or even probable. Evidence, context. There's just so many things that go into providing an explanation. To simply say, well, that's not an explanation, is just not dealing with the topic. It's a way of deflecting.
Or you get that complete list that Mike was running through earlier. Well, you can have this or this or this or this or this or this or this. And it's like, yeah, well, that's just an endless list of what ifs. It's not actually giving an answer.
Yeah, so it's kind of like never surrender qualia is a little note that I wrote. They're never going to surrender that shit. It's like, and it is difficult when you study this thing and you start looking into philosophy of mind. You're always going to have this like, okay, that's not it, and you keep going around in these loops. And as soon as you think you've explained it with physicality, you'll think, no, that doesn't quite do it, And it's like. And what I came up with is this currency of exchange. Now, I don't mean currency like time. I mean currency like money. Like we have we exchange goods with money, right? Trading for money. So we have a currency of exchange. Now, the currency of exchange that a human animal has is this brain activity that we got, right? So if we try to look at our own brain with our brain, we're using the same currency, the same brain to do that, right? So how can we ever see our brain with our brain? How can we know that we're feeling qualia? What we know is that we're seeing a red kitty qualia cup. We don't know that we can't look at that qualia. We can't look at ourselves seeing the qualia, right? So you go in this loop and you keep going around and around and around as a philosopher of the mind, and eventually you just say fuck it and you go watch Netflix.
Wasn't this just like I get the same vibe as when you ask what is God? They can't tell you what is God. They'll say, well, God is not material. God is not in time. God is not, there's a not, but there's not a what it is.
Yeah. So Deconverted Man, you sent me an email, and I've been looking at the email wondering what the hell were you trying to do with a bunch of
and a gur and a spooky.
Oh, we got a gur man. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wait, Gur's here?
Oh, for shame.
Got a gur.
For shame.
Oh.
For shame. Alien hand syndrome, basically, when you get your hand cut off and you still feel like you have it because those nerves are, there's parts of your brain are still mapped into that hand. And if you
isn't that phantom limb syndrome?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's phantom limb. The alien hand syndrome is you take a rubber glove and a mirror and you move. I forget how Ramachandran did it. V.S. Ramachandran did these experiments, and it's really cool. But it's like you get this feeling like it's an alien moving your hand or some fucking thing. Anyway, it's trippy. I forgot the experiment exactly. So anyway, yeah, Deconverted Man. Maybe you want to send me another email and explain to me just exactly what the hell you were trying to do, because I didn't respond to you because I've been puzzling over it. It's like, what the fuck are you trying to do with these mirrors? Exactly. Anyway.
Alien hand is where your hand acts independently from the rest of the body.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's our Dr. Strangelove syndrome.
Yeah, Dr. Strangelove syndrome. I guess Peter Sellers invented
injury, strokes, tumors, or brain surgery. It affects the corpus callosum.
Peter Sellers came up with that, by the way. He ad-libbed that in the movie, I believe. You remember him grabbing his throat with the alien hand?
Yeah, I do remember.
What'd you say about the corpus callosum? When it's cut.
Yeah, I think they say anything that affects the corpus callosum.
Yeah. Deconverted Man. Oh no, we started a war between Gur and Deconverted Man.
Yeah, and that's always what it comes back to, is when they say these things are outside of the brain. If the brain is damaged, these things are also damaged. So how did it get damaged outside of the brain? If it's not material or anything else, it does. So it's the only way it goes is if that one explanation you gave where there's like a parallel event going on. That would be the only plausible one. But then you'd have to demonstrate that.
So illusionism. So when I said I was an illusionist, basically they say, oh, well, if you have an illusion, what is having the illusion? Having the illusion is the thing itself, right? The consciousness itself. So, I mean, how can the conscious experience be an illusion if you're having an illusion and you're conscious of your illusion? And they go around that little thing, and they do a similar thing with religious arguments, don't they? I can't think of an example right now, but they do kind of the same thing. They try to get you to say,
"Am I in your dream? Yeah, am I in your dream, or are you in mine?"
Yeah. Well, they say, "Are you certain that that nothing is certain?" Right. So they'll do these little paradoxical things, right? And they came at me with that, and I didn't have time to explain it to them. So.
If my lived experience and my mental machinations are all an illusion that I shouldn't trust, then so are theirs. And so if they've got a different conclusion than I have about the reality of the reality, well, then they've got no good reason to have any more confidence in theirs than I do in mine.
Yeah, well, they're not illusionists. But anyway, this week I am an illusionist about consciousness. And what is meant by an illusion? Illusion is not a grand mal hallucination. You don't just dream this shit up out of nowhere. There's something going on in our bodies. It's just that we're not exactly right about what that is at all.
Yeah.
It's a lot different than what we think it is, right? So that's illusionism. And they want to say illusionism is denying that consciousness or qualia exists. And no, I'm not denying that we have these experiences. I'm denying that these experiences are in the form that we think they are when we think about them.
Yeah.
And there's a really good reason for that. And I think I have another place I can go with that.
That's one of the things you're denying their experience, so you're calling them a liar argument. And it's like, you're calling them a liar, and it's like, no, I'm not calling them a liar. I just don't think they actually saw Bigfoot, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
So,
Bigfoot, liar, lord, or lunatic for Bigfoot, right?
Well, it's just saying that the disciples wouldn't have lied about Jesus, right? Well, who says they were lying, right? Maybe it's just a story and nobody lied anything. It's just a story, right?
Yeah.
It's always that thing that they want to, you're not calling them all liars, are you? Like it really means something, and well, maybe they are a bunch of liars, what difference does it make? But that word seems to, give some weight to the argument that, oh, you're not calling them liars, are you? Because it's like, the old West days, you ain't calling me yellow, are you? Right? Them's fighting words.
Those pearl clutching words, that's what those are.
Yeah. So the thing is, there are three different things here. Okay, there's like what's going on in the world. There's a red thing in the world, right? And it's in the same room as you for that long. And then your body, you start looking at the red thing, and then your eyes start to basically develop this red, and you're still looking at it, right? And then you think, okay, and then you have the subjective phase up here, which is what's going on in our minds. Like about 200 milliseconds later, you'll start to, oh, shit, why does it keep doing that? I don't know why it keeps doing that to me. But about 200 milliseconds later, you will start getting this feel that, there's something red, in my field of vision, right? And you'll get this red qualia. And as long as you're looking at the red, as long as the red is still coming into your eyes, this is a physical body, and this is the red from the world, until you close your eyes right here, right? The red is still coming in, and you're conscious of it. And then as soon as you close your eyes, it starts to change. Well, then when you ask yourself, what am I conscious of right now? I'm looking at a red cup, so I'm feeling red qualia. It's like, not really, okay? Because there are a million other things going on at the same time. You're feeling stuff from your gut, basically. That's, our stomachs have a lot of nerves, and they're very involved in how we feel. And then you've got all these emotional elements going on, that are popping up, and then you end up with all of these associations with red, like stoplights. I think about that for a moment, and then I'll start thinking about cop cars, and and it's like you go on. But anyway, what you're trying to do is you're trying to catch the qualia, you're trying to catch the quail, right? So you try to basically you try to pick this point. It's like, oh, I'm seeing red, and then what another big part of your brain is your attention awareness mechanism, where we can focus on one particular thing. And there's a part of the brain called the thalamus that actually starts to close the gates down. All the periphery gets inhibited, and you're only seeing that red thing, you think. But there is no way, as we talked about earlier, to just have this red qualia and nothing else going on in your body or your mind. And for me, basically, my mind, it consists of all these things, body, mind, and world, right? And not only that, but it exists, like what I feel in my mind right now exists in a swath of time that kind of moves along, with, so basically I'm getting sensations from a few moments ago. They're processing in my brain. It's all, there's 100 millisecond, 200 millisecond, 300 millisecond delays. And all of this stuff is sort of smushing together in this one huge qualitative experience. And when you look at the color, when you look at the red cup, you could be confusing part of that red qualia, that qualitative feel you have, with how your stomach feels right now, with how your shoulders feel, with your feet on the ground, all of this stuff all coming together into this quality. They call it qualitative, right? And it is so obvious with the amount of neurons that you have the amount of systems in your brain all working in parallel and in hierarchies, and the amount of nerves in your body, it is not remarkable that you feel quality, that you feel like a really strong electrical impulse, right? Like you're this collection of buzzing energy and cells moving around and all this shit happening all at once. And so when I ask, what is the question? Like, what are you talking about when you're talking about the mind? They very seldom do they want to talk. It's just like the Christian who basically wants to talk about nothing but atheism. These guys want to talk about nothing but how physicalism can explain it. They don't want to talk about what the hell it is that we're explaining. What do you want me to explain? Most of the time, it's what objects look like in the world, and it's all jumbled up. When you look at the systems of the brain, there are many different hierarchies interacting at different times, and what we sense. The thing is, like this little line up here. This basically, this is our subjective experience up here. Okay, and here's the actual physical happenings to our brain and body right here. We frequently do crosses so that we're not even timing it right. We don't even know what happened first. It all gets mushed together into this swath in our brains. And basically, as human animals, as primates, this is what we're experiencing. And the way I solve this problem is to think, okay, it's just in the brain, or it's just up here in this part of the body, or the brain, which would be the top half of this, right? And then you could say it's in the brain and it's in the body. I mean, you could think your mind is actually in your toes, okay, but then you can think it's in the brain, body, and world, and that is what this subjective experience is. So what I started to do is when I walk around outside and stuff, I don't think of my mind as being in my head. I've moved it, because we've been trained that way all our lives to think our mind is in our heads, right?
Yeah. I mean, I keep mine there so I don't do that. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, I keep mine in my head. Yeah, but when I walk around, I feel that my mind is in the world as I'm moving. Basically, it's in this 50-foot circumference around me. And basically, all of it's in, coming in, and I try to meditate to the point where I can feel my toes, my entire body in the world, and sense what is around me in the world, and that's what I consider my mind. And when you start to run through what I'm doing is I'm changing my intuition about mind, and that goes back to the original question: what is the fucking question? What is the thing that you want physicalism to explain, right? You're gonna, like, if I explain water to you guys, like it's H2O and it does this and does that, okay, you're gonna say, aha, okay, I get it. Yeah, okay, that's water. But if I explain brain to you using neuroscience, you're gonna be like, yeah, you're pulling one on me, because it's so basically it's our intuition of things that give us that aha moment where we think, yeah, that explains it, right? And then you quit asking the question is solved, and you move on to the next thing. But for this philosophy of mind stuff, you have these people that will never accept an intuitive idea. Like, why wouldn't physical stuff feel like we feel if it was doing what it is doing? As I put it, I'm just a pile of goo wagging in a mind-like way, basically.
Or a toaster.
Or a toaster. Anyway, that's kind of... So, I mean, I don't think these guys talk enough about what they're trying to explain, and they don't do what I did here with, okay, which part are you trying to explain? You trying to explain... Oh, shit. Stop it. You're trying to explain the part where, where I think about the stop sign, or you're trying to explain why I'm seeing red and then I shut my eyes and I don't see it anymore? What part are you trying to explain here? Are you trying to explain this one little point in time because our minds are not capable of experiencing one point in time. I call that point source thinking, and that leads into the whole problem that neuroscientists are trying to solve. They're trying to come up with a neural correlate of consciousness, and they're thinking of it as some singular thing that they're going to figure out with some mechanism in the brain, and they're not going to find it. And that's why I don't believe in the unconscious, James, because there's nothing in the brain. There's no dividing line in the brain between conscious and unconscious neurons. And there are really no processes that you're unconscious of.
And what happened to mess that all up, like earlier when you lost your train of thought? And it can be, you know, an in-depth thing. You know, sometimes I'm fixing something, you know, I'm in-depth into working on something, and all of a sudden your mind just goes blank, right?
Yeah.
You're like, what? And it's like a reset, you know what I mean? And you go, oh yeah, okay, I have to do this, and then it comes back, you know? It's like, did your brain need to do something else in that moment? You know what I mean? It said, oh, hold on a second, I'll be right back, you know? The old look, squirrel, right? And you just, poof, everything gets distracted, or you walk into another room, you forget why you're in there, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
It's like, what did the brain have to do at that moment that made you forget 10 steps away from, you know, going from one room to the other to get something out of the refrigerator? You know, what triggered that loss of, why am I going into the other room? You know,
they actually know how that works, Dave. Exactly. And if you return to the original room, you'll immediately remember what you wanted to go out and get.
That's what I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's
you have to reset yourself, right?
It's how your hippocampus works to map you out in space and time. And basically it keeps track of the indexes. And when you move into a different room, you're firing different cues at it, and you're going to remember something entirely different. So,
okay.
And there's another thing, the tip of the tongue syndrome. You can drive your brain into states of like local minima, and the name that you're looking for is not in that state, right? It's not anywhere in that cluster of neurons. And the harder you try to remember it, the deeper you will get into that place where it does not exist. It's like looking harder in a room for your keys where your keys are not. And you look harder and harder.
My wife always says, go through the alphabet and just think A, B.
Something else. Well,
yeah, until it triggers. Yeah.
The very best way is to stop thinking about it, and your brain will start to undulate again, and it'll get more general, and it will immediately hit that little cue in your hippocampus, and it'll pull out what you want. It'll find it. It'll find the
my son had this one teacher that used to give extra credit things on the math quiz, you know, and they were kind of brain teasers, you know what I mean? And we were stumped, you know, and it was like, this is a good one, you know what I mean? And like 1 o'clock in the morning, I sat up in bed and I said, I got it figured out. And I went out to the dining room table and I wrote it down real quick. It was weird how that works out.
Anyway,
dead sleep. I woke up and I had the answer. It was really weird.
You know, I have never. Go ahead. Sorry.
Gerd, do you remember ever being slapped by a stranger in your life, ever, or punched? I don't know if you remember that or not, but anyway, so that was me.
This makes me think of the time that Jesus was on the cross, and he's like, "Okay, I have some last words prepared before I die." And he's like, fuck, I can't move my hands. I can't reach my note. I don't know what my last words are supposed to be. so then he said some last words, and he goes like, that sounds right. Oh, shoot. No. Those aren't my last words. Forget about that. And then he said some different last words, and he was good for a moment. It's like, no, wait, forget those two. And this is why we get all these different gospel stories with different last words for Jesus, because he kept changing his mind.
I guess you could say he was really hung up on his words.
He was.
He got hung up. Oh, that's cruel there, Dan. That's cruel.
He got upset. In other words, he got cross.
Yeah.
Oh. Here we go.
Too soon?
What's the difference?
Too soon.
What's the difference what's the difference between Jesus and a painting? It only takes one nail to hang up a painting. All right, so yeah, this is an idea. Now I don't know if this would be the way to do it, but I, for whatever reason, thought about the idea of my left eye being able to see my right eye and my right eye seeing my left eye. So I thought, well, okay, you have to set up like something to do this, like camera
Right.
mirrors angled in a certain way with projectors projecting the opposite eye to the opposite eye, and and then the computer processing all that to put it on those mirrors. There might be a simpler way. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but basically the idea, I was thinking about portals, like Portal game, the where you make a portal and you make another portal. And I was like, well, what if you had that for real? Which you don't, but if you did, and you could put it to your eye and have it see the other eyeball. And I'm like, well, what would you see if one eye is looking at your right eye is looking at your left eye is looking at your right? What would that do in your brain? Would you just see eyeball for infinity, or like would it all blur together, or would your brain even be able to process it? Yeah, I don't know. So the only way to find out what it would, what you would see is to make a thing so that you could do it. And with technology, maybe this setup might not work, but with some sort of mirror webcam,
you probably see it. You probably get a Cyclops effect. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I thought this would be, would it be worth spending the time, energy to set up the experiment just to see what it does? It'd be kind of cool.
I thought you were already working on this. I expected you to have it done by now.
Yeah.
You sent me the email a week ago.
No, you didn't tell me if it was a good idea. So I was like, I don't know. Maybe it's a stupid idea. Also, I don't know where your head is in this. Your eyeballs are floating. But this diagram is, of course, not meant to,
Well, when I saw this diagram and I saw your email, my mouth kind of dropped open, and and I've been in that state ever since.
Michael blew your eyes open, that's problem solved there.
The webcams are like kind of pointed at the mirror, so the webcam can see that eyeball, and then it sends it to the other projector via the computer to project that eyeball onto this mirror, which your eyeball over here sees, and then vice versa, so that on the screens you see one eyeball sees the other eyeball and that eyeball sees the other. Now, if there's a significant delay at all, then it would kind of mess it up. So hopefully you can sort that out with the computer that's hooked up to all this nonsense.
Well, let us know how that works out for you, and then what I want you to do is take 5 grams. I want you to take 5 grams of mushrooms and try it again. Okay.
No, but I just wanted to.
That's what I was going to say.
Well, you would see
you can see yourself blink on LSD. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. I want to thank Deconverted Man for that handy guide. I just now connected my eyeballs and noticed that Leo's in the room. So.
What's up, Leo?
Anyways. So that's me explaining that idea. All right, bye.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can close my mouth now and quit staring at that fucking diagram.
When you close your eyes, you'll see it forever.
You could just read my mind. What is this crazy fuck up to now?
It's in your qualia now.
It's in your qualia. Yeah, qualia soup.
Yeah,
the qualia of cringe.
This is where the stream gets cringe.
Anyway. Michael sit up in the middle of the night and say, I got it figured out how to look at your own eyeballs.
Okay. So Germania is calling you out, Leo.
Tell Leo that I challenge him to a round of Go Fish. I'll get the cards and he will lose.
It's because you can't fish with cards. You need a fishing line. Okay,
I think me and Gur ought to have a death match. Set up a fight in the ring, mixed martial arts, and because it's time, Gur. We've been pissing each other off for a long time now. It's time for us to go.
I'm betting on answers and atheism. He's dirty. He'll fight with dirty.
And I'm pretty spry. I'm sprier than I look.
Let's all bet on answers.
So, Leo. Am I missing anything to all of this? Like the whole mind dual thing? It sounds like the physicalism part I get. Like, yeah, I get physical. It sounds like the other part is just supernatural woo being snuck in under the guise of being something rational. Or am I missing something?
Yeah, I don't know. Are we missing something?
Oh, he might not
Leo
be.
hasn't. Leo is muted.
He might be muted. Or he might have gone.
I was
might
on
be
the phone. I was on the
Oh,
phone.
Okay.
What
Yeah.
now?
Ask your question again, James.
Dude, what the fuck are you doing, Cat? You walk in one door to walk right the fuck out the other. Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
That's what they
yeah,
do.
Give me a second.
That's what they do.
And then they'll stop to barf, and then
My
So
son
we-
said there's four barf spots on the carpet up there, and I said that's a good day for one of the cats.
Ooh.
Call
I
it
don't
a
know
day.
how they survive. I really don't. It's like, how do you barf all the time and survive? You're an evolutionary conundrum.
Oh, gosh.
Anyway, ask the question again, James.
Well, I'll just ask Leo, what parts of that did you have any thoughts about whatever you've heard since you've been in the room?
I don't really know what we're talking about, so no.
Oh, we were talking about that mind-body dualism thing,
Oh.
and
I don't even know what that is anymore. It's just like gibberish to me. Like, what? You said what? Oh, you can't show it to me? Okay, bye.
that's what I thought too. So, all right, good, very good then.
James was asking, is it just a bunch of woo? And I think that's pretty much what you're saying. So,
I mean,
I
I think
gotta-
it is. I would make the claim that is only radical if you know nothing about fucking neuroscience. That neuroscience has at least thus far empirically confirmed that the mind is physical.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like it's kind of the end of the story for me. And the thing I was talking to Dave about, where you walk into a room, or you leave the room to go get something, and then when you get in the other room, you forgot what it is. I mean, they actually know the neural mechanism of that, right?
Mhm.
And like, how in the hell is it not physical if things like that happen?
So
Typical tongue syndrome and all that shit.
my bigger problem is that I don't know what it means for something to be not physical and exist in
I know.
reality. I don't know
What does that even mean?
That also doesn't make sense to me. But then you get the people, oh, but like if you just hold to a Neoplatonist view, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
You think there's a magic place where ideas just sit and then we just take our little butterfly nets and jump up in the air and catch them? Is that actually
Yeah.
how you think the fucking world works?
Mike has a list.
My mind is blown by the dumb shit that people will believe, usually because of ulterior biases.
Yep, ulterior that, and that's key. There's this sort of bias about mind being special or something like that. I'm not sure,
I don't know.
but
Your
the
mind is
bias
not
is
special.
strong.
And you were not
Well-
special. At least not objectively. You're special to me.
The thing that got me is I came in trying to have a calm discussion, and I explained to him that I disagreed with them, and they got a little nasty with me right away.
Wait,
And when they get
who is
nasty
this?
with you,
Emerson Green.
Emerson Green, and then there was one guy in there, and he just got kind of fucking nasty.
What channel
about
was
it.
this on?
Emerson Green's channel.
Did he have
It's,
he must have had like an open mic or something.
No, he had. I was in chat, and he was interviewing this guy. What the hell's his
Oh,
name?
that's I've watched a little bit of that. I mean, I do like Emerson a lot. I think he's a really, really great
Ralph
guy.
Weir.
I think he can articulate his ideas pretty well. I don't agree with them, but I
Yeah.
don't think he's stupid or dumb or anything like that. I just think he's wrong. But I've watched a little bit of that. I'm slowly working my way through it.
Yeah, and the guy he
But
had
the part
on
about
is
it that I
brilliant.
find the most interesting is this idea that the interaction problem isn't like a problem. And I just kind of feel like it's the biggest one they have. And their only
Yeah.
response to it is to just sweep it under the rug. Pay no man mind to the man behind the curtain.
Somebody in chat compared that to gravity interacting with material, that sort of thing. They're different things, but they interact nevertheless. And so that was, and that wasn't a bad counter actually to that. The interaction problem. Here we have our favorite our favorite Brazilian. I won't say it to him. I don't know. Let's
Wait, go back to
rational
that.
thought.
Go back to the earlier one about.
Chemical reactions
okay,
operate
let's see.
according to fixed laws of chemistry, which do not account for logical reasoning.
They don't
okay,
account
so
for
I can agree. The laws of chemistry and physics don't account for that. Why should they?
Yeah.
Electromagnetism doesn't account for gravity. Does that mean it's a shitty theory? No.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to account for gravity.
Yeah.
Do people just not understand the concept of domain of application anymore? Has that just been thrown out the fucking window?
It is at church.
Not creationists. No, they do not.
Well, rational thought does not actually involve truth-seeking, and logic doesn't really have a lot to do with being rational. But a lot of people don't actually know what it means to be rational. People think that what it means to be rational is to like use logic and evidence in your thinking. That's not what rational means. That's not what it means to be rational. You're rational if you are engaged in the actions or behaviors which accord with the stances that you have. So if you're doing the things that you, by all accounts, think you should be doing to achieve whatever your goals, desires, your aims are, to fulfill your beliefs, whatever, you're behaving rationally. That's what it means to be rational.
But I'm glad Otangelo stopped in and said this shit, because this and this right here, therefore,
is this Otangelo or an Otangelo generator? Because you know how they have that Deepak Chopra Deepity generator. I think somebody's made an Otangelo generator.
Scott, would it make any difference if it was? It would not make any difference at all.
No, it wouldn't make any difference. I love how this is the funniest thing. He says chemical reactions operate according to fixed laws of chemistry and physics, which do not account for logical reasoning, intentionality, or abstract thought. Rational thought involves intentionality, logic, and truth-seeking, which go beyond mere chemical reactions. I could grant both of those. This right here, what is on the screen, does not follow. It does not follow that therefore you need an immaterial mind from the previous things that he stated.
God, it's just, where do you even
But you're going to sit here and lecture me about logic. Okay. All right. Okay. Knock yourself out, buddy.
This is the same thing as, you think we're just atoms in motion. You know, that
and I'm just like, that is the dumbest
fucking
thing. The universe isn't just molecules in motion. Quantum fields are not molecules. It doesn't really make sense to say that they're in motion either. Motion is a relative concept to begin with. So that, I mean.
Right. And then there's the thing that I keep yelling about is also where these things are in space and time has a hell of an effect on everything, right?
Yep.
I mean, if it's miles
all
away,
of the interactions that are taking place and the structures and processes that arise because of that, like it's molecules in motion. Okay,
molecules in motion. Yeah, you know that's sort of a greedy reductionism or a straw man of reductionism. Basically, like when we come up with a reductive explanation of something, we're picking one particular element and trying to explain something with a reduction, right? But there are many reductions that you can get on things, particularly things like rational thought. I mean, you could reduce all day long and you still wouldn't have it all done. So it's greedy reductionism is just a straw man.
I love interacting with Jim Bob. He is so much fun to talk to. Yeah. Oh my God.
They just wrapped it up. They just wrapped it up over at Tacos, sir.
Oh, Austin, you were over there? Oh, cool.
Yeah, he was debating him on, I think, is evolution a scientific theory? Which, of course, it is.
Yeah. By definition, it
is. And you want to know what I love about people?
You can't observe it.
When you start talking about science, oh, yeah, but does it follow the scientific method? And when I say, when I hear that, I just go, yeah, which one? Well, but there's only one. No, there's not. There's not only one. There's probably 30 of them. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Are you talking about the 7 individual steps that Francis Bacon came up with? Yeah, we don't even use half of those anymore because science has advanced beyond their use. Like, this is the thing is like, science is not what Francis Bacon said in 7 steps, in 7 sentences. That's not how that works. Holy fucking shit. You think string theory meets all of those? No, but it's still science. the data analysis that we do and the statistical methodology that is used and the means by which we make observations, like we can do shit in particle accelerators and understand the most fundamental features of reality. Is that what Francis fucking Bacon would have understood as an observation? Probably not, but we use them anyway. Like, to sit here and say, well, does it follow the scientific method, just demonstrates your understanding of contemporary science.
Yep.
Jim Bob wants to throw out all of science and start from scratch with the scientific method for every discovery. And every time Peterson tried to say, well, you know, we have the evolution theory, and it's no, you can't use any of that. You can't use anything that you know to do anything on a new discovery. And I'm like, well, it doesn't make any sense that you have to run everything through the scientific method all over again for things that are already well understood and well known. It just doesn't make any sense.
What I asked Jim Bob is, you know, when a scientist enters a laboratory in the morning, does he pull out his 7th grade book and look at the scientific method and review the steps and make
he has to start all over every day. Right, exactly.
Yeah, he start all over every day.
I love Ochangelo's statement there, straight from the horned one. Fuck me.
The horned one.
The horned one.
The horned.
He whose name must not be mentioned, I guess.
So Austin had a good one for him, actually, but he thinks that all of geology can happen in a few thousand years, but evolution can't happen in millions.
Yeah. He denies plate tectonics.
Oh God, he denies we went to the moon. He denies fucking gravity.
Yeah. The space station,
understand
all kinds of
He
stuff.
doesn't understand why the Earth's atmosphere doesn't rush out into the vacuum of space.
Yeah, he dabbles in flat Earth stuff. Yeah.
Did you know that, Leo?
Yes, I did.
Like, I
It's
can't
funny,
hear you.
They hear the word vacuum and their mind immediately goes to suck, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
you are so Dyson brained, you fucking Hoover brained, you fucking Auric brained motherfucker, you fucking shark brain. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? That's what you think, rather than there's not a lot of stuff in here.
Yeah, it's amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Like I said, I felt for him because it's the same thing like when we were talking to him. Like, he just, Planet Peterson had his hands on his face, and he's just leaning back in the chair saying, what are you even, that question doesn't make any sense, you know? And it's like, I feel your frustration.
And the fucking thing is, he's got 500 people watching him, and like at least 400 of those people are just like, yeah, go Jim Bob, man, you got him now. You know, you make so much sense.
Yeah,
So
how
like
do you
the holy
convince somebody
shit.
of atoms if you can't observe them?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's setting up I don't know what you call it, but it's setting up a bad argument that you can't possibly answer. You know what I mean? It's and he was doing it over and over.
Yeah,
And you know what?
Go ahead.
These guys are running our government right now.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
We so fucked. We so fucked. Anyway, go ahead, James. You were going to say something?
No, I was just saying that Austin said they've had their fill of Jim Bob. They're hoping we talk about something else now.
Jim Bob is as relevant as yesterday's discarded toast, leftover toast.
I was only watching because it came up, and you know, it was Taco was hosting it, and
Yeah.
he had a post up about it yesterday and everything. So I wouldn't have watched it because, you know, there was the stream planned earlier, but Mike and James couldn't get their stuff together, so it got delayed. And otherwise,
Wait a minute. Wait.
I wouldn't have been seeing Jim Bob at all. So it's all your fault, Mike and James.
You said Mike and James. It was just James who couldn't get his shit together. I'm sorry.
Whoever couldn't fix their stuff, it's all your fault. That's why I had to see Jim Bob.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I mean, I had all this shit ready to go, all these fucking screens set up and everything. I could just fucking whip them. And then James is gone. He's a no-show. He's just, oh my God. What are we gonna do?
I've got a proposition or an idea here. How about instead of dualism, we start calling it wooalism?
WooWooism.
Yeah, I came up with that yesterday, independently, Leo. WooWooism.
See,
Nice.
great
And we
minds
came
do
up
think
with.
alike.
I was talking to you, Scott, and we come up with the. We're going to sell a T-shirt, but no, we'll sell a wool sweater with woolism on it. Woolism.
Oh shit.
Yep. Woolism. I like it.
Substance of wooalism.
I know you wanted to patent that one, Leo, but we came up with
Oh
it
no,
independently.
no, I don't want to patent it. Everybody should be calling it that.
It should be woolism. Yep, like this. More like this, right? Woolism, or should we do woolism?
Wool, the two O's is a lot.
The first one makes more sense, and then we can say like, "Welcome to Wool America." Wool.
The Gulf of Woo.
The Gulf of Wool.
Anyway,
I think we're all in agreement then that anything that they try to say is outside of the brain is woo. And as Mike showed, you've got a list of 100,000 different isms that try to describe all these things that may possibly, what if, exist outside of the brain.
I just wondered if is there a legitimate edge case to physical phenomena that they latch onto to say, no, there has to be a dual substance or a dual or reality has to be.
But magic has to be real.
Yeah.
No, they'll come
What's
up with
the line, right?
what it is like. They always talk about what it is like. I call it
God.
WIIL, WIIL. What it is like. What it is like. Okay, what's it like? Tell me what it's like.
I can't understand it, therefore magic.
Like it isn't like something. It's what is it like? Ooh.
Well, if the answer is it's magic, then demonstrate it. Say, well, look, if you click your heels together, I get a glass of water, right? You know,
I should do a Halloween decoration next year or this coming October, and call it the House of Woo, and have these little woo ghosts that go, woolism, woolism, what is it like? And just people, of course they will go by and go, huh? And I say that's the proper response to dualism as I have heard it so far.
Oh, fuck, Otangelo just straightened us out here. Instructional information comes only from the mind. Hey.
But wait. What the fuck is instructional information? What does that mean? What is that referring to?
Yeah,
I have no idea what the fuck that's referring to.
Cell
What
is
does that
instructed to create a liver. There's an instruction.
In what sense is it instructed? Like clearly not in some normative sense.
Not in a normative sense. No. There's a little list of you put this cell here and put this cell to the north of that.
Apparently the DNA is made up.
And again, sure, instructional information comes only from a mind. Okay, what's the argument? I could grant like instructional information and that cells have it. That still doesn't get you to a mind.
So he's thinking of the information in cells and DNA as like written lines of code. If this, then that, go here, do that.
Yeah, the oocyte, basically the egg that you all started from. He thinks that there's all the instructions in there that are needed to create you, right? And of course, we know that that's not true anymore because you need the womb, you need the environment, you need some interaction with a whole lot of shit for 9 months. And then eventually you pop out you. But I mean, it's not like a fucking instruction manual. It's more like, God, I don't know how you describe it. It's like rowing a fucking boat with a screwed up paddle. That's all cells form bodies. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But I mean, when you all you have to do is look at embryogenesis to realize that evolution is possible. If you look deeply at how embryogenesis constructs an organism, basically, or how the organism develops all by itself, it forms itself, basically, you realize that evolution is possible. Because you see all the places where that humerus could have been bigger or not exist or whatever. Could be a fin.
I think a big problem that we have is in all those animations that you see of like
Oh yes,
fundamental biochemical stuff happening.
Yes.
And I
They're
can't
totally
tell you how many
wrong.
experts have looked at me and said that is not even remotely what it would like. If you could hypothetically shrink yourself down and go look, that's not what it would look like. Not even
Yeah.
fucking remotely. It would look
look
like
like
you
a
wouldn't know
mushroom.
what
Hey.
the fuck was going on.
AIG has a video up. The watch this video. It's something that the atheists don't want you to see, or something like that.
The rotor spinning of the flagella or whatever.
Yeah, and that Jeremy Spry all over my Facebook with that crap. It's always that stupid those videos. Oh yeah, I fully agree, Leo. Those videos need to be taken down. their educational purpose is not worth it.
But it's no different than like astrophysics, right? Like we'll take pictures and everybody's like, "Oh, that's so cool! Look at the colors." And I'm like, "That's like five different images in 5 different areas of the electromagnetic spectrum superimposed." That's not what it looks like.
Yeah.
What does it look like? You don't know because your eyes can't fucking see it because you can't see in X-ray.
And you know that little man.
Yeah.
The little man walking on the microtubules carrying the globe, that sort of thing.
No, that's not what that not even close.
No, Dan Nicholson, he sent me onto a few papers where they said, okay, that's one model, but it wouldn't look anything like that, it wouldn't be anything like that. But there's another model that is very, very different than anything you can imagine about a man carrying stuff and running down the microtubule. Dynean and Cassian. Cassian? I got that fucking right. I don't know what's it. Cassian. Yeah, I think it's Anyway. Dynean and Cassian?
Yeah, I don't know how well
Casein, right?
Kinesin. Dynean and Kinesin.
No, Kinesin. Okay, no, I understand.
Yeah.
All the apologist videos.
Dynean goes to the minus end.
All the apologist videos I've seen, those videos come up one of the most often.
Yeah, that Dan Nicholson suggested that those videos have done more damage to our thinking than anything. The cell is a machine, that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, there's little factories and there's little cars and there's little cranes.
There's little people who are on little strikes because they want little unions because the little capitalists that own the little factories are not paying them nearly as much little money as they should be. Yep.
And I read a paper the other day that where they did a study and they found out that like 30% of the proteins that are translated into proteins have errors in them. Basically, 30% of them aren't, and a lot of them just don't do anything, and a lot of them are created and they don't bump into the right shit, so they don't do anything. So we've got this constant flood of junk being created, of goo, and some of the goo just lines up and
do you
does.
Remember what word you first used to describe its speed?
Pudding.
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 Slow as pudding.
Well, we are a self-organizing mud pile. A mud puddle is what we are, a pile of mud. Self-organizing pile of pig shit is what we are. And it's amazing
James says
that
we're
can
meat
sit here and
puppets.
talk.
James says we're meat puppets.
Meat puppets.
I say we're host for bacteria. And we shouldn't be too full of ourselves.
They've recently used AI to basically study the folds of like millions of proteins. And before we were at about like 1,000 that we'd figured out, and we weren't entirely sure. But they've used the AI to extend that into millions and millions of proteins. So AI has just made this huge leap forward in biology.
Yeah, that's that article I was telling you about, or maybe it was 60 Minutes.
Oh, that was
where they were talking about.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, where they were giving AI problems like, how do you cure cancer? And they were just letting it work on it. You know what I mean? And it's like, wouldn't it be great to just come into the office in the morning and AI is sitting there, here's the cure for, et cetera, et cetera. It'd be amazing.
We are meat popsicles. Yeah.
You guys want to know a really, really pedantic fact?
What?
So you know how et cetera is Latin, right?
Yep.
That is not at all how it would be pronounced. The C did not make us sound in Latin. It would technically be 8 Ketera.
I could never do it.
That was very cool. A cool fact.
I like it.
So me and Scott
Very
figured
cool,
out
very
where,
pedantic, very demure.
me and Scott figured out where kitty corner or catter corner came from the other day. It comes from the from quatre, from the French, meaning four. Cater corner or something. Yeah, we call it kitty
corner.
Do you call it kitty corner or do you call it catter corners, Leo?
I don't really say the phrase, but if I do, it's kitty corner. But now it's going to be
it's kitty corner. Okay, you're a northerner.
I always meant catty cornered for me. I mean, that's
I'm
all
a
I
northerner, but I say soda.
No,
because
I say
that's
Coke.
what it is.
I say
Pop
catty
sound.
corner. Yeah.
Damn
You want a
Leo.
Coke or something?
Who
I know
here?
So when I went to
It's supposed to be kitty corner, but around here they say it catty corner.
Who here
went to
washes their hands? Does anybody here wash their hands?
I don't
If you're
work
from
on
if
now.
you're
My-
from Arkansas, yes, you do.
Southern Ohio is worse. A friend of mine, he picked it up because his mother was from down in Southern Ohio. And yeah, so
Good
it
old
was
wash
worse.
rag.
And are you deaf? What's the matter? Can't you hear me? Are you deaf?
Yeah. And in Kentucky, you ain't right is one word. You ain't right. You ain't right.
Ain't right. Ain't right.
Oh, it ain't right.
Kick rocks.
What the hell was I going to say? Root. Oh, when I was in Texas in the 60s, they called pop soda water. And I was like, do you want a soda water? And it's like, no, I don't want fucking soda water. I want pop. I want a can of pop. I'm a kid.
A can of
I want
what?
Pop. Pop.
One of the
How do you-
comedians.
They called it
How do you
soda
put
water.
Sound in a can.
And one of the
What's that?
comedians says he went off to college and he said, "Hey, I asked my roommate, you want to split a pie?" And he's like, "What, like cherry or?" It's like, no, it's
Must
a
have been
pie.
a pizza pie.
It's a pizza pie. Around here, though, when we were growing up, it was called a za. We had it cut down to 2
God.
letters. It was a za.
What?
Hey, you
You
want
guys
a
want to
za?
get some za?
Want some
Oh
za?
my God.
Oh my God. Oh, that's horrible. That's
Oh yeah, or yeah,
We
you go to,
eliminated all them letters.
what is it, Austin? What state is it? It's like 2 states you go to. I think Louisiana is one of them. What kind of Coke you want? And be like, I'll pick a root beer. I love root beer. Root beer is the superior dark soda.
Oh, that's
Oh my
ridiculous.
I watched a video one time on how to make root beer, and it's actually dangerous. You can get it wrong and actually kill yourself. So I thought that was interesting. Oh, I wanted to point soda water. You got me thinking. I was looking up alternatives to eggs for baking because eggs are getting so expensive. You can use soda water instead of eggs for baking recipes, and it works perfectly.
Really?
Yes,
What?
I know.
How the fuck was-
How much is soda water going up?
Yeah.
Buy stock in soda water.
I thought Trump was on that egg thing. Was he on that egg thing? Last I heard, he was on that egg thing.
He is. He doubled
Egg
the
on his
price.
face.
Well, the price of eggs doesn't matter if you're, not part of the, what the fuck did Elon call it? The what class? The
Does anybody think Trump
Yeah,
ever
what did he call it?
stepped foot into a grocery store in his life?
probably at least once.
Serious? I don't think he ever has.
To use
I
the
don't think
bathroom.
Trump has. I don't think. Yeah, use a bathroom maybe.
Yeah,
If it was right next to a KFC.
yeah, that's true.
You guys want to know something really super interesting?
What?
Ever since, so if you go back to before Brian Thompson got shot by our good Italian hero Luigi Mangione,
Luigi.
Elon Musk went everywhere by himself. Ever since that happened, he brings his son
He's at a
everywhere
guard?
with him. He brings
what?
his son with him everywhere.
Yeah, he's holding his son as a shield. There's a lot of
And he
people
puts his
that say
son
that.
up on his shoulders, behind his head.
Oh, no shit.
Mhm.
Yep.
My son told me that
That's
his
dark,
son
man.
told
That's
Trump
dark.
to shut up or something in the Oval Office.
Well, it was lip reading, so I'm not. I'm
okay, you're not sure if that happened.
Not that I
Yeah,
really
okay.
care whether
I like
he
the
said that
idea.
or not. Honestly,
Sure.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
he said something to Trump, and Trump kind of gave him a look and gave him a nod and looked away. So
It was like
It could-
leave
it
or
could
get
have
out of
been
here
that.
or something like that.
yeah, it could have been, I want a lollipop. Who knows? You know.
Or give me the nuclear suitcase.
It was funny though. All the words they were putting in his mouth though. It was funny.
Trump would tell him to go play with the nuclear codes. Here's the nuclear codes. Go play.
I like the congressman the other day that pulled up the dick pic. Did you see that one?
No.
He said last year Marjorie Green here brought in a dick pic when he Hunter Biden's picture, you know, and she had him right there. So he said, so I thought this year I'd bring a dick pic, and the person behind him held up a photo of Elon. and then he said, President Elon here. It was brutal. My wife thought it wasn't real, you know, and I said, oh no, I pulled it up. I was like, here's the video, and she was laughing hysterically. I was like, oh my gosh.
I asked my son an honest question this morning. I said, do you think I should get ready to take my YouTube channel down and make it disappear?
Yeah, they're coming after us.
Yeah. It could happen.
Laneway, don't come up the property.
The atheists are on the list.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
It's a thought.
Yeah, and Republicans are also trying to push through the SAVE Act. Anybody know what the SAVE Act does?
No, knowing them, it's the opposite of saving something.
It probably
it's definitely the opposite. So it's essentially the idea that if the name on your identification does not match the name on your birth certificate, you're barred from voting, which means that like 30% of women won't be able to vote because they're married.
Yeah.
And there are no exceptions for marriage certificates. And
they want to get rid of women voting.
It's literally an attempt to stop women from voting.
Yep.
It's the same thing with voter ID laws. Who do those target? They do target women. Women are disproportionately affected by them, actually. But black people.
It was presented on the House as a bill. I don't know what the vote is or anything, but the bill was presented. Yeah.
But like they're not even trying to hide it. The amount of Republicans that have literally just said, "Yeah, I don't think women should be allowed to vote," it would probably shock you.
Yeah, I know. I've heard them on Jim Bob's channel talking about it.
The whole chat.
And they want to go to this
debate on it. He did a debate on it that women shouldn't vote.
Oh my god!
They want to go to this one vote per family thing, you know, where the head of the household would be. That's an interesting one.
I've heard,
or if you have more kids, you get more votes. That was J.D. Vance.
Yeah, I've heard Republicans say that you shouldn't be allowed to vote if you don't own property, as in like a house or
that
land.
Sounds familiar.
Or something like
that sounds very familiar. Weren't we there once? Oh my god!
I think we were there once. Yeah,
and we don't even know. We don't even know how well Jim Bob did in that debate because he wouldn't let women vote on whether or not he won the debate.
He wins all his debates.
Yeah.
He destroys you.
I didn't know.
When I heard about that asteroid that might hit the Earth, I thought, oh, there's some lighter news.
That's right.
Jim Bob wants to take over MDD, Leo. He was talking about, I need to get with James and have him do all these things so we can fix up MDD. And we'll start with that chat over there. It's not civil or whatever. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
Can't make this shit up.
He doesn't like not having the button. He's like Darth Dawkins, you know. If he doesn't have complete control, he doesn't know what to do. When you see him, check out that thing today on Breakfast Tacos. The whole time he's swinging back and forth in his chairs, looking around, swinging back and forth. He doesn't know what to do with himself when he's not in control.
Yeah, that was my hope, actually, that natural selection would take care of some of this, but we need a better. I'm not going to say it.
Unfortunately, right now, it seems to be the poor kids that are suffering with measles.
I heard some recorded voices on TV earlier. I don't know. I'm not. There is another.
I took a shit earlier and it didn't fall into the toilet. It slid up my back and went out the window. There's got to be another realm, a poop realm, where all of our poop goes.
It's snowing.
It smells really bad.
Can't trust those floaters.
Oh, guys. Okay.
Oh shit! No pun intended.
Remember when I wrote that side chat? This is
I
where
have to
gets
side with it.
cringe.
I have to side with it because
cringier.
yeah, Bigfoots are known to be interdimensional, shape-shifting, time traveling, universe traveling species. So
I was hoping I could take. I was hoping that I could take this and show it to this Richard Brown, because I wanted to show him an example of us talking about philosophy on my channel. And
talking about Bigfoot.
I don't think I should anymore. But
yeah, we're gonna have to come up with another stream.
Yeah.
Cut that part out.
Well, I'll tell them, okay, don't watch beyond a certain point, because some people took it over. Like, and I had no control. It wasn't me. But anyway, this guy, One More Brown, he's a cognitive neuroscientist, and he is a physicalist, and he does takedowns of Bernardo Kastrup, and he's got a bunch of good shit on here. Yeah, here he is going after. He's got some Bernardo stuff, and then no Bernardo. This one thing does not debunk physicalism. And that's this video right here.
Guys, it's your friendly name.
Pretty good. Anyway, he's a good guy. He's got about 20,000 subscribers, and he's got a good channel. And I didn't know about him before, but I linked him in my description.
Oh, okay,
and,
good.
Yep. So maybe give him some subs and pay attention to him.
Cool.
And be sure to watch The Watchers and The Ritual wherever you can find it.
And watch The Gorge on Apple TV. If you have Apple TV.
I'm gonna sneak into my son's house when they're gone and just watch their Apple TV.
Yeah, you should. Well, shit, when you're babysitting, tell them you need the fucking, you want the streaming services.
Well, I can't do the scary stuff in front of my 3-year-old grandson.
Oh shit, they won't even notice. They're fighting with each other the whole time.
They are fighting with each other the whole time.
Yeah, trust me, Scott. They are the scariest thing in the room.
Speaking of which, if you guys can get Carol to send a recording of those voices to Mike, I'd love to play that on our next stream. The voices from the ether.
Speaking out of the air, the ether. I did some mushrooms, and I kind of think I know what I'm.
Was this with or without a radio?
I don't know. Yeah, was there a radio?
Well, we'll find out when she sends the recordings over.
There are people that
killed the radio star.
Oh yeah, that's on my psychedelic playlist, by the way. I always play that one. And Sucks to Be You by Prozac. Have you ever heard that one? Sucks to Be You?
Yeah, you introduced me to Prozac.
Oh, I did introduce you to Prozac. Okay.
And have you manifested as a toaster, or have you at least reached Fred the Ketchup bottle level? I've
been working on it. Last trip I brought the toaster down and I stared at it the whole time, and it's like it didn't do anything. I don't know.
Well, tomorrow we got science in the Quran, but maybe
tomorrow's Saturday. Shit, I don't know.
Yeah. Tomorrow is Saturday, and I don't have to watch The Boys.
Oh boy!
Actually, I've never done any Muslim bashing, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. Are they fun to bash? As fun as Christians, or
similar? Of course, some of these things are a little different that they're claimed in the Quran, but
yeah, most of their apologetics they learned from Christians. So like, I'm going to do that.
Okay, so they should be fun to bash.
I've been looking around. Like I say, we've had some Christians, and then we've had some in-betweeners, whatever you want to call the toaster guy, and we covered the rabbi, so we touched on Judaism. I've been looking for Hindu, but a lot of them are not in English. So
I don't know. Hindu bashing, that just seems mean to me. I don't know.
Well, we're not. We're attacking the arguments, not the people.
Hinduism bashing, sure.
Yeah,
Hinduism.
But
what does Hinduism actually hold to? I don't. I mean, I kind of understand Buddhism as much as I ever want to. But
well,
Hinduism,
like they have like creation stories and stuff like that, and gods having wars up in the sky, and
do they believe any of that crap there's
a lot of
mythology.
magical. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the thing. I've been trying to find something to get, kind of, somebody saying they believe in a magic zoo boat or whatever. But mostly I've found either it's, just them talking about, whatever, or it's in another language. So I haven't really found anything, so-called controversial, where they're butting up against somebody else or science or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think Hindus and Buddhists go after evolution, do they? Ever? I don't think they're that kind of people.
I don't know, but if you want, go ahead.
No, go ahead, James.
If you want some dirt on the Hindu religion, I can send some your way. For example, there's this big river that is central to their religious narrative. I think it's Ganges or something. And it's super polluted because of generations of them just waiting out there to go to the bathroom. And it's so polluted that basically nothing's alive in there but bacteria. It is nasty. You wouldn't want to be anywhere near it. And because they believe it's part of the spiritual narrative that you can bathe in that river and drink from it in order to have healings from various ailments and diseases, they do it all the time. They go down in that river and they wade in sewage, they drink it, and they bring their children into it too, because they think it has magical properties.
And didn't a whole bunch of them crush each other going to that ceremony?
They had a stampede. Yeah.
Every year.
You cannot get those huge crowds together without somebody getting, trampled or into a fight or something. It's inevitable.
Right.
No shit.
Not even a religious procession,
When I was a little boy, I fell in the septic tank, and my mom saved me. Otherwise, I would have drowned in a septic tank.
Well, I don't know if it's just Hinduism or if it's the cultural thing in India or whatever, but either way, there's a lot of sexism, class system problems and stuff, and they have to deal with.
So my dad had.
If I find something, I'd like to, do other religions, just.
My dad had 5 kids, and his solution was to leave the cover off the septic tank and catch a few of them. They almost got me, but Mom saved me.
Well, I prefer the videos that say atheists are stupid or something like that. You know what I mean? Just because they're fun to look at. So.
Yeah.
But this is Quranic science with Yusuf. He's the Texas Muslim. There's a Texas. There's a Texas Vietnamese guy or something like that. That's a comedian, and he plays on it because you just don't expect the Texas drawl to come out of this Vietnamese guy, and it's the same thing with this guy. He's got his.
This should be fun.
Yeah, he's got the outfit and the beard and everything. Oh yeah, and I've got a little intro video to start things off on beards. So I'm not going to give it away, but he's extra special. He used to be a Christian. He's from Texas. Now he's a Muslim, and he thinks mighty highly of himself. And, so I figured, he needs to be knocked down a few. And,
Yep. I forget the name of it, but there was a big branch of Buddhism like thousands of years ago that was atheist, basically. It was an atheist Buddhist.
Well, Sadhguru talks about that India is one of the few places where people would gather into the square and you'd have all different beliefs, and they would, have their debates, discussions or whatever, and then everybody would go home without beating each other up. But
yeah, cool.
Times change too. So
there's so many different varieties.
Are you talking about Theravada Buddhism?
Is that what it is? The atheist Buddhism?
Well, it says one such branch is Theravada.
Theravada, yeah.
Also,
Zen Buddhism too. They basically don't hold. In fact, they encourage not holding any belief at all, or to wear all beliefs as if a loose-fitting cloak.
Just be Zen.
Anyway,
my Zen time is when it's nice outside and I can go out in the garden and pick a nice fresh red ripe tomato.
We're with roots. We're actually getting some snow. We're getting some snow. Like
I hurt my hand. I had to go out. I didn't tell you. I hurt my hand. and it hurts. It really, it's sore. It makes me mad. We had the ice first and then the snow. So it was both my greenhouses were all encrusted. I had to go out there and, give them tap to break it loose to get it all off, because Saturday and Sunday we're supposed to get more snow. So we're actually getting some snow this year. We haven't for last couple of years. We're getting some this year.
We've had about an inch all year, and now it looks like we're going to get a couple inches today, and because we're really fucking dry here. I'm getting worried.
My son got a new job, by the way. My son got a new job, by the way.
Doing what?
My younger son that still lives at home here, he got a new job. He starts on Monday, so wish him well there.
Yeah.
He's working at it's a smell good place. They make smell goods.
Okay. Cool. I want to get out of here, guys. It's getting late. I got to go make me some fish sway tonight.
So Quran science tomorrow. So
yeah, on Saturday Night at the Atheist.
Saturday Night at the Atheist. So it should be fun.
Okay, guys, I'm going to end the stream. Say goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
James left. Goodbye, cruel world.
He had a phone call.